Hey there, I'm Paula Pan. I help people make the smartest money decisions possible.
If you don't control your money, it controls you.
Yeah, you're not in control of your finances, and you have to look outside of yourself to live the life that you want. You're not in control of your life.
Like, what is it that you actually want? Money should follow the dreams and goals, because sometimes we make the dream and goal the money, and you've overworked yourself and you've exceeded what you've needed for the actual thing you want. Sometimes we forget, like, what's the actual thing you want?
Afford anything. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
This Jocks 94.5 podcast is brought to you by Millennium Satellite and Video. Log on to msbnow.com. TV excellence everywhere. That's Millennium. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning starts now.
All right, before we get to Andrew Ivins on the Higginbotham hotline, what is Phase 10? Does anyone know this?
Oh, yeah. That's probably my second favorite game.
Is it with a regular deck of cards?
No, it's a
so it's like you go get it. It's
yeah.
Like Uno, essentially. You have to have its cards,
you have
its
those
set.
cards. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's a different game. Okay.
Yeah, it's a rummy style game. It's something you could be playing with your kids. You got to win each hand, you got to do a certain thing. Sometimes it's get all the cards of the same color. Sometimes it's you got to get a run of 7 or 3 of a kind or 4 of a kind. Yeah.
Have you ever played Rummy Royal?
No.
Now, you have to have a board for it. It is awesome.
Rummy Royale?
My mom's family played it all the time. Every holiday, we would all – because you can play with a ton of people.
Yeah.
But it is a gambling game. And, again, the higher the increment, it goes quick. So we played with pennies back in the day.
Didn't matter.
You got to go in, and you go in a bunch of different spots each game, and you can raise. And it's a lot. Yeah, so it goes fast. All right, let's move on from that. Talk some recruiting with Andrew Ivins joining us on the Higginbotham hotline. Andrew, a couple receivers that Alex Golesh added to his recruiting class recently. I would love to get your sort of 1,000-foot view of the entire class. And because that position is going to be so important for him, maybe what he's added at wide receiver recently.
Well, I think Deshaun Hall, I think he's got some shades of Cam Coleman to his game, right? And just from a frame, a movement standpoint. And I think a lot of people forget with Cam Coleman, he didn't really break out until his senior season there in high school. I mean, he was a guy that had 500 yards receiving as a junior. Deshaun Hall, I think the question mark with him is you look at him, he's 6'5". He can attack the rim on the hardwood, but he only caught 3 touchdowns as a junior. So I think he's a guy that, is going to need some time in the hopper, and he's going to have a chance to really evolve in that offense. And if you go back to what Alex Golesh did at USF, I mean, he loves these big guys on the outside that can get vertical, and I certainly think that is Deshaun Hall. And then they're also pairing him with, I think, kind of the perfect complement in Cedric Simmons. We're out here at the opening finals at Nike's World Headquarters. Cedric Simmons checked in yesterday. He's right there at 5'9", but he's pushing 200 pounds. He looks like a running back, but he wears the mask extremely well. And that's a kid that led the Yellowhammer State in receiving yards and in receptions last year. So, I love the combination of the two, and especially the fact that they're in-state local prospects and they're committed to play for Auburn.
So when you look at just the overall class as a whole, how would you say it's shaping up?
I think the first thing that stands out to me, we go back to March, I think Auburn was sitting there 73rd overall in the rankings. Now they're firmly inside the top 10, and it's guys from all different pockets of the country, but at the same time, there's a big in-state focus, and I think that's important, just as the powers that be kind of shift there in the Yellowhammer State. I think on defense, that's what really jumps out to me. Isaac McNeil, the linebacker out of Vigor. I think instinctively he's one of the top off-ball guys in the class. He's also a really, really good athlete. A guy that just has the sonar to locate the football. He's another guy that's out at the opening finals this weekend in Oregon. What they've done in the secondary, Chance Gilbert out of Georgia. He's a 4-star safety, one of the fastest kids in the class. Now, he's recovering from an injury. I think a lot of schools were a bit hesitant to kind of push all the chips in. But, I mean, when he is healthy, he's a guy that has endless range over the top. So, I really like what they're doing on defense. I think Aiden Wiggins, a kid out of South Carolina, I think they got a steal in him. He's a height, weight, speed cornerback. Kareem Palmer, a linebacker out of Georgia. He's one of the fastest guys in the country. So really for me, the defense, the wide receivers, and then at running back, I mean, Marshawn Johnson-Cook, this is a kid that's well over 235 pounds, but he's gone 4.44 in the 40-yard dash on the lasers. I mean, I think that a lot of people are going to see him and compare him to Derrick Henry. I'm not ready to go there just yet, but he's certainly a guy that can bang between the tackles in the SEC.
There's certain individuals that you just try to avoid the comp at certain positions. I would imagine Derrick Henry would be one of those. You just say, you know what, we'll find another big back and we'll make the comparison. He might not be the guy. Andrew Ivins joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline talking some recruiting. Andrew, it feels like there's a narrative kind of floating now that Notre Dame is sort of pulling away from the pack, specifically this year in recruiting, and that's been building for the last few years. Is there a big gap? Where is Notre Dame compared to everybody else right now in this recruiting cycle?
Well, I think every year kind of one of the themes of the cycle is, all right, can Notre Dame challenge for the number one ranked recruiting class? They haven't done that in the modern internet era of recruiting. And, I think that if Marcus Freeman's eventually going to figure out a way to get it done. And last year, I think they finished number 3 in the rankings. We have them right now ranked number 3. And to me, I think Notre Dame is getting that different caliber of athlete, right, than that maybe they hadn't got in the past. And I think Marcus Freeman and his front office, his coaches, they deserve a ton of credit for, identifying the individuals that, number one, fit Notre Dame, and then number two, have all the traits, have the upside. That's a really small pool of players, and every program in the country wants those individuals. So when I look at what they're doing here in the class of 2027, I mean, Abraham Cisse, a 5-star edge rusher out of the state of Pennsylvania. I mean, there was a time when a lot of people thought he was going to end up at LSU. He picks Notre Dame. The offensive line group, no surprise there. And then really what they continue to do in the secondary. I mean, we go out, travel the country and go to these camps, and it's like, this corner's locking down one side of the field, and guess what? He's committed to Notre Dame. I think they've really turned that into one of the best position rooms in all of college football, and it's just so impressive how they continue to replenish it. So for me, it's just they're getting that next caliber of athlete, and they're winning some recruiting battles that I think in the past they would have just bowed out a little bit early.
So what do you think has changed? Is it really more Marcus Freeman and his ability to relate to the player?
I think so. I think Notre Dame has improved its compensation packages, right? And so many of these recruitments, that's what it comes down to. What can the school offer me? What can the school do for me? And everyone has these competitive, deals in place. But the kids also, you have to have a proof of concept. And as college football has turned so much into the NFL, right, you can't just draft these kids. You still have to recruit them. You still have to build a relationship. You still have to show, hey, we're going to get these kids to the NFL, get them to that second contract. And, maybe not every recruit that's what they're thinking big picture. But the thing is, the ones that are, those are the ones that you want in your locker room, on your roster. So I think Marcus Freeman, his proof of concept, what they've been able to do, and just them stepping up when it comes to a financial perspective, having competitive offers on the table, that has kind of allowed them to break into that next tier where when we talk about the top recruiting operations in college football right now, I think Notre Dame's right there on the short list.
Is there an up-and-comer in recruiting we need to be paying attention to? Maybe not a top 5, top 10 class right now, but you kind of see them trending in the right direction, and maybe it's even been building for a year or two that you would say, hey, you need to keep your eyes out on what's happening with this program.
I think it's kind of a bit of a layup because they finished with the nation's number 1 ranked recruiting class last cycle, but I'm buying as much stock as I can in USC with the new general manager there, Chad Bowden. just with anything that, who knows what's going to happen to Lincoln Riley after this upcoming season. But if there's a change at that storied program, I think whoever steps in is going to have a roster that is ready to go. Because I go back to last year in 2026, and it's a group where it's a foundational haul, right? They got difference makers, or I should say potential difference makers at key positions, right? You look at left tackle, okay, they got Kenye Pepe, our number 1 ranked tackle in the class. They get Luke Wayfall, our number 1 ranked edge rusher. Those guys are going to play and get their feet wet here in 2026. But really 27, 28 is when they're going to capitalize. I just think what they've been able to do, and it wasn't too long ago, USC was outside of the top 25 in the recruiting class rankings. And every take to me just makes a ton of sense. And then I was wondering, okay, what does it look like this recruiting cycle? Obviously, I think they have maxed out this budget. It's going to be a smaller group, but I kind of love this group. They got a 5-star pass rusher in Mekhi Brown. They got one of the nation's top 2A athletes in Ghost Falave Johnson, a local kid. Cornerbacks, wide receivers, they got all of it. So USC to me, in the Big Ten, they're a program I have my eye on. I think they've turned into the biggest thorn in Oregon's side. I mean, it wasn't too long ago, Oregon under Mario Cristobal, Dan Lanning, they got whoever they wanted on the West Coast. And now USC with this new recruiting department, with this new vision, they are hoarding the big bodies on the West Coast, and they're trying to. They've taken back LA, and they're also going around the country and kind of plucking who they want.
Is there a team that traditionally has not fared great on the recruiting trail that is all of a sudden recruiting at a really high level?
Texas Tech.
Yeah, outside of them, obviously, and we know what's driving that.
I'll give you one that it's kind of raised my eyebrows. What James Franklin is doing at Virginia Tech. Last year, he comes in, and I think it was 15 days between when he was hired and the end of the early signing period. He assembled Virginia Tech's highest-ranked recruiting class ever in the 24/7 Sports era. Now you look up, they got a top 10 ranked recruiting class. They got an Elite 11 finalist quarterback in Peter Bork, who I think is probably the most polished signal caller in the country. They got a freak show tight end committed in Jordan Carhoff. It's a lot of what James Franklin was doing at Penn State in terms of getting guys with the NFL upside. He's doing that same thing there at Virginia Tech. They are another program where there's been an infusion of funds from the powers that be, the donors. So to me, as we talk about, again, the college football landscape changing, Miami's kind of king right now in the ACC. It used to be Clemson challenging Florida State as well. Virginia Tech, I'm really excited to see what that roster is going to look like a year from now, just because I think James Franklin's a guy that gets it in terms of a talent acquisition practice from not only the high school ranks, but the transfer portal as well.
All right, last one I got for you. We've had some conversation about LSU today and earlier this week, Andrew, and the defensive linemen that are entering this program as freshmen have come up multiple times. How much production, how many snaps, how destructive do you think 1, 2, 3 of those true freshmen can be for Blake Baker's defense this year?
Richard Anderson is the name that instantly comes to mind. And if you go back to when Lane was hired and he steps in, everyone was talking about Lamar Brown, and for good reason. I mean, we graded him out as an athlete because we thought he could be D-line 1 or IOL 1 in the class. He's a rare two-way kind of unicorn. But Richard Anderson, who was also a top 10 ranked prospect, for some reason he didn't get as much buzz, I think, nationally. And this is one of the largest and widest humans I've ever seen in a decade of doing this. I mean, 6'4", 360 pounds, and he just moves exceptionally well. He was there at Edna Carr in New Orleans, obviously a storied high school program. They faced off against American Heritage early on in the year. The game takes the cut up. I mean, this guy's 360 pounds. He's getting sideline to sideline. It was impressive. Now, he's one where the conditioning needs to improve, but you think about where they could potentially use him, a guy that has a chance to impact every snap. The reviews have been coming out of Baton Rouge have been great. I think having knowledge of Blake Baker's system dating back to his days at Miami, I mean, these are the guys that create that upfield push. So to me, I think Richard Anderson, I wouldn't be surprised if we look up in October and November, maybe the snap count's a little bit higher for him than it is Lamar Brown, but he can certainly play. And then, it's hard to call a guy that was a top 100 recruit a sleeper, but Deuce Gerald's out of Georgia, the Peach State's all-time leader in sacks. A little undersized, but man, he's just a spark plug. And this is a kid that also played some running back in one of Georgia's highest classification. It reminds me a lot of Jerzon Newton. I don't know if you guys remember him at Illinois, now with the Washington Commanders. He's the guy that played running back extensively in high school. I think he's a guy that situationally they're going to find a ways to get him involved. He's just so quick and dip underneath those individuals. And here's the thing, LSU needed an influx of talent up front, and I think all three of these guys are going to play.
Great stuff. Andrew, thank you so much for the time. Appreciate you hopping on with us, giving us some insight. Enjoy the rest of your trip. We'll catch up soon.
Appreciate it, guys. Thanks for having me on. Anytime. Andrew
Ivins with 247 Sports, 24/7 Sports, 247 Sports, joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline at Andrew_Ivins. Find his work at cbssports.com as well. Does a great job covering recruiting. Some good insight there too. Auburn's class, goals, what he's doing. The Bama class, once again, another person to say, don't panic, calm down, it's going to be okay. And then maybe what some of these D tackles, defensive ends can do at LSU this upcoming season that are entering the program as true freshmen. Follow up on that. Finish up with the last segment of the show next right here on Jocks.
Go inside Jocks 94.5 on Jocks TV. Morning Jocks, Mac and Cube, three-man front video simulcasts are presented by Bill Smith Buick GMC and Game Day Men's Health. Watch on the Jocks mobile app and YouTube by searching Jocks 94.5 TV.
Square up.
Yo, what's going on, man? It's Andre Berto, two-time world champion. I fought. I loved it. I really wanted to do that sit down from a fighter's perspective.
My G. What's going on? Caleb Platts. What's going on, my boy?
Now you got a chance to really draw in your audience, to let them see who you are.
I've had to have a lot of internal talks to say, do I even want to carry on?
As fighters, we know what time it is. Like I say, the time is now.
Square up.
Follow and listen on your favorite platform. Let's go.
Hey there, I'm Paula Pan. I help people make the smartest money decisions possible.
If you don't control your money, it controls you.
Yeah, you're not in control of your finances, and you have to look outside of yourself to live the life that you want. You're not in control. You're like,
what is it that you actually want? Money should follow the dreams and goals, because sometimes we make the dream and goal the money, and you've overworked yourself and you've exceeded what you've needed for the actual thing you want. Sometimes we forget, what's the actual thing you want?
Afford anything. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.